This guide will help you through the first 15 game days of Everdream Valley with tips on how to complete the quests. If you don't know what Everdream Valley is, it is a super cute farming game, kind of like Animal Crossing, but it's on PC, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, and I can confirm it also works on Steam Deck. Now, for those who don't like spoilers, I have divided this video into lots of different chapters, so you can pick and choose which parts that you would like to watch. Let's get started. Press your map button, and when you pull up the map, tab over to the logs section. And within the logs, you should see a tutorials tab, and that's where you'll find everything. Repairing the chicken coop is one of the first tasks that you have to do. All you need to do is take your axe, go and find some trees, chop some wood, and then go back to the chicken coop and you should be able to repair it. Easy peasy. When you need to find the chickens, pull up your map because that will give you 3 different areas on the map that you should check for the chickens. They're fairly close to the barn, so you can just explore. Keep an eye on the bushes. You'll see the chickens hopping about, and there are 3 of them. All you need to do is run up to the bush. You can grab the chicken and then take it back to the coop and release it right by the coop. After you have found the chickens and repaired the coop, you will be given the opportunity to get a dog from the merchant. After that, you will need to go and see Grandpa again, and he will tell you how to train your dog. All you need to do is get a stick, and if you don't have a stick, just take your axe and walk up to a bush and swing at the bush, not a tree, and you will get a stick. Throw your stick at the dog. The dog will retrieve it, and I think you do that about 3 times, and it will tell you quest complete, your dog is trained. Keep in mind that the training will dissipate and you will need to repeat that every once in a while. Sawing boards. You will be using boards a lot in your construction projects. Go and find the sawhorses. I believe it's at the back of the barn, but you can move that anywhere you want. And you need to have wood in your pocket. You get wood from chopping trees, remember? And once you have the wood in your pocket, go up to the sawhorse. You're going to have to use your joystick or your keys on your keyboard and keep the green line in the white section. Now, if you do this perfectly, it will tell you, you'll hear a little sound, and instead of getting 2 planks, you will actually get 3. It's kind of tough to do, but if you want to maximize how many planks you get from your wood, then try to do it perfectly. Grandma gives you an orchard quest. You have to cut down some old orchard trees. The orchard is kind of behind the house. You are going to cut down some of the old trees in the orchard. You will see the ones that are dead. And I think it might count if you cut bushes down too. And then you need to find some fruit trees in the wild. And you can open your map once you get this quest, and you will see where the different fruit trees are growing wild on the map. My tip is to kind of go behind the orchard. Keep going, you'll see a windmill. Follow that, go past that to the water area, and you will see some fruit trees. You can take your shovel, dig up those fruit trees, and then return back to your orchard and plant them. And once you have all of the old ones cut down, the new ones planted, you will complete that quest. You are given a bell that belongs to Willow the Cow, and you need to use your dog and track Willow based on the scent of the bell. And how you do this is go in your inventory and select the dog treats that Grandpa gave you. Give 1 dog treat to your dog. You will see a question mark appear above your dog's head, and then kind of quickly go back in your inventory and find Willow's bell or whatever you want your dog to find. And you have to keep that item in your hand, so don't go switch into your axe or a tool or anything like that. With the bell in your hand, follow your dog, and eventually you will find Willow. How do you bring Willow or any animal back to your farm? It's fairly simple. All you have to do is interact with the animal and pet it. And from there, you have about 20 seconds where that animal will follow you. So as soon as you pet that animal, book it. I pedal to the metal. I sprint as fast as I can. And I try to count roughly 20 seconds in my head. And if you keep your eye on the mini map, I call that my rear view mirror, you can see if the animal is following you. And if you see it stop, or if you think it's near 20 seconds, just stop, turn around, pet the animal again. And you have to keep repeating this process until you get the animal back to your farm. Now, I highly recommend you plan ahead and have the pasture area all repaired and ready for the animal, because that way when you get the animal back, you can open the gate, run in, the animal will follow you in, you can close the gate. But if you didn't plan ahead, like I didn't, you just need to repair the area, and you might have to pet the animal and get them to come back in the fenced pasture. No big deal, just takes a little bit longer. Once you have the feather, you'll have the quest to track the rooster. Just like with Willow and the bell, you need to give your dog a treat, wait for the question mark to appear above your dog's head, get the feather out of your pocket, hold it in your hand, let the dog sniff it, and then follow the dog to the rooster. The rooster will be up in a tree, and once you get there, you're not done. You then have to go and find the cat, pet the cat, so the cat will follow you, take the cat back to the rooster, and that supposedly is what gets the rooster down, and you will hear the rooster crowing. Find the rooster, grab it, and then you can take him back to your chicken coop. So then you will have your rooster and your 3 hens, a nice little chicken family. There will be a quest that asks you to bring sheep to the farm. You may have seen the sheep before getting this quest, and if you find the opportunity to get them to your farm, if they're close by, I would go ahead and do that, get a little pasture ready for them and corral them up. And if you later get to that quest, all you really have to do is take one out and put it back in, and it seems to register it eventually. Or you can take your dog, let your dog smell the wool of sheep, and you will be able to track where the sheep are. They typically are southeast of your farm in the forest area. After you complete the quest for getting the sheep to the farm, I believe it's Grandma who will give you the sheep shears to clip their wool. So just be careful. Getting the sheep too far in advance of being asked to do so could mean that they need clipped too soon, and they could end up getting sick because you don't have the clippers to clip them. Every 3 days, you have to shear every sheep and alpaca. I don't know if there's a better way to automate this, but it's kind of a pain. Equip your shears, go up to the animal, interact with it, and then you will get this little mini game, and you have to shear your sheep or alpaca. My best advice is get a controller. With your right thumb, mash the interact button, which is A for me, and then with your left thumb, use your joystick and just move that sheep all around in different directions. Once you get good at this, you should be able to shear your sheep or alpaca in under 10 seconds, which isn't too bad. Milking the cow is pretty self-explanatory, but let me just offer a bit of advice. Make sure you have some sort of container to gather the milk. It can be a bucket, or there's a pitcher and some sort of a milk jug type thing. And you go up to the cow when the cow has a pitcher icon above it, and that will start the mini game where you get to milk the cow. It is utterly fantastic. I had to throw that in there. Cooking. A lot of people struggle with the cooking, and I did at first. You will have a circle with an arrow pop up. It will either be above, below, to the left, or to the right of the cooking animation. If it's to the right, you're going to need to aim to the right with your joystick or your keys. If it's to the left, then you'll have to aim to the left, so on and so forth. But you need to try and keep that arrow in the green. Once it gets to the green, you want to let go. If you let go in the green area, it is perfect, and I think you only have to do that 4 times, and that will complete your recipe. If you let it go in the red area, it burns, and that will either start you all the way over, or it significantly reduces your progress. If you let it go in the blue area, you make progress, but it's very, very little. The yellow area is good, and you'll make more progress, but it'll just take longer. You're aiming for that green section, and it takes a bit of practice to learn when to let go. But once you figure that out, once you get the hang of it, it won't be too difficult. But I did struggle with this in the beginning. To make hay, you first need to wait until you get the blueprint for the hay rack. I believe it's Grandpa that gives you this. Craft your hay rack, set it up, and then you're going to need to take the wooden sword and slice down some of the grass all around you. And this does take a lot of stamina. Just watch your stamina. Make sure it doesn't get too low. And you can put 100 of the grass on your hay rack at a time. So try to fill it up. So you put the grass on your hay rack and it doesn't take that long to dry. Once it is dry, you can take the hay off of the rack. You go to your workbench and there you can craft hay bales. I think they call them hay cubes, but they're hay bales. And you can feed these to your animals. Speaking of feeding animals, what do you feed your animals? So you're going to first start with chickens and then you'll have your cow. Now, this doesn't make sense because I live on a farm and I have chickens, but you can feed your chickens in this game hay. They will eat that. If you see a little knife and fork or fork and spoon icon above your animal, that means they're hungry. You can feed them the hay, and that probably is the easiest. Or one of your grandparents will give you some grass seeds. And you can sow these around the area where your animals are, in the pasture, around the chickens, and it will make the grass tall and luscious, and they can eat that instead of the hay. Now, keep in mind, this does make finding eggs and finding poop that you have to pick up a little bit more difficult because the grass is long. But if you keep seeds in your pocket, you can just reseed the pasture and feed them that. Supposedly, you can also feed your animals vegetables, but I haven't figured out a way to be able to drop the vegetables in there. So I just feed them hay or I sow the grass in there. So far, the ducks are the only animal that I found I don't need to feed, although they love snails if you find snails. You can rename your animals, except for your dog. I don't think you can rename your dog. If you have the magnifying glass, which you should, you get that from one of your grandparents, but it might be an item that you overlook. If you take your magnifying glass out and go up near one of your animals, you will be able to rename them. If you want to grow bigger crops, bigger grass, use the poop. Your animals will make tons of little poo patties and you're constantly going to be picking them up. You will get a blueprint for creating a compost bin. And you can set that up and fill it up with poop. There will then be these little bags of poo all around the ground and you just walk over them and pick them up. And you can spread that on your crops to make them grow faster, which is very helpful in the beginning when you're very poor. And you can also spread this on the grass to supposedly make it grow faster as well. So you got good fertilizer on the farm, plenty of it if you have animals. Let's talk about the wolves. Yes, there are wolves in the game currently. I heard a rumor that they might be tinkering with them in future updates, but as of right now, don't be away from your farm late at night after it's dark. If you're too far away, the wolves will get you. It's not really that big of a deal. It sends you home. It doesn't let you dream, and I think it might take away some of your stamina because it hurts you. So just keep that in mind. Bees and the smoker. So if you go northwest of the merchant, you will see 3 beehives. There will be a smoker sitting somewhere around those beehives. Pick that up, keep that in your inventory. You will want that anytime that you have to interact with the bees. You want to smoke them first. This will calm them down and prevent you from being stung. There is a quest for you to find parts to make a scarecrow because there are birds that are stealing your crops. But there is a scarf and a pair of gloves that you need to find, and it tells you it's around your house. However, that's not completely accurate, and it took me a little while to find this. The scarf is right on the front of your house by the window. That's where you'll find that. And then for the gloves, you need to go southeast of your farm, right where the broken windmill is. That is where the pair of gloves will be. And once you find all of those, you should be able to construct your scarecrow. Just make sure the place you put it is kind of where you want it. You have a vicinity that you're supposed to put it in, but I don't know if you can move it once you put it there. So put it in a good spot. Sometimes when you come across a new area, you will see these bags of seeds, and then suddenly a new quest will pop up to clean up the trash and sow the seeds. So all you have to do is walk around, pick up the bottles and cans. I think you have to do 10, and then it will tell you what type of seed you need to sow. The bags will be somewhere around you. However, you'll have to go and get them out of your inventory. Just make sure you're getting the correct type of seed for the quest. And then all you do is run around and sow the seed in the area right around you. You'll look on the map and you'll see the circle. And once you get 100 quantity of the seed spread, that will complete the quest. Sick animals. If you don't shear your sheep or alpaca in a timely manner, or if your animals don't have shelter, and I think possibly if you don't feed them, or maybe you don't clean up their poop after a while, they get sick. And you will know that they're sick because you see a little thermometer icon above their heads. You will get a recipe to make animal medicine from one of your grandparents, and then you can make that in your workbench, or you can buy it from the merchant. All you have to do is walk up to the animal, get the animal medicine from your inventory, and apply it just like you will a bandage. After that, make sure you have shelter in each area that you're keeping animals. You can build shelters eventually after you learn that blueprint. And I believe you're also given one at the beginning too. Just like you train your dog, you also have to train your cat. Supposedly your cat can help you find sick animals as well as keep pests away. I have seen my cat pounce on some mice, so I can verify it does help. The training is a little bit trickier than training the dog. You have a cat toy that you are given, take it out of your pocket, and then there will be a ring that lights up in front of you. You have to click your button and raise your little cat toy. That will get your cat's interest. And you have to lead your cat towards that ring. And when you get there, you have to make your cat jump. You just click the button or the key to make your cat toy go up in the air. The cat should jump. And it is a little bit tricky. You got to make sure the cat's following you. I find that walking rather than running is usually the best pace to go. And you just got to figure out the timing. And I think there are 5 hoops that you have to jump through. And once you complete all of them, thankfully there's no time limit, but your cat's ability will raise and they will be trained. And you'll know by looking at the little graduation cap above their head. It tells you how well they are trained. And you'll have to periodically repeat this process. It's kind of annoying, I know. If you're looking for the fireflies, go to the entrance to your farm. Pretend you're going to the merchant, but kind of stop right after you get past the wooden fence area, and make sure it's 8 p.m. or a little bit later. That's when the fireflies come out. You might see these little teeny tiny yellow bugs that look like fireflies before this time, but you won't be able to catch them. The fireflies are bigger, and once you see them, you'll see that they look different from the other little yellow glowing bugs. Take out your net and catch them. You will have to catch 10 for Grandpa's quest to prepare for Grandma's party, and you can later make lightning bug jars as well. So 8 p.m. or later, and at the entrance to your farm. It's the best spot I found for them. You will eventually get a quest to get ducks on your farm. I found them far before I found the quest and decided to bring them home. If you go to the beehive area, it is northwest of the merchant. And then keep going northwest from the beehives. You will see a little peninsula in the lake there, and that's where you find the ducks. Keep in mind, when they see you coming, they try to go to the water, and if they hit the water, you won't be able to get them. I found the best way was to kind of walk slowly, save my sprint, and then when I get close to them, sprint and spam my catch button, which is A for me on my controller. If you want to multitask and bring 2 at once, here's what you can do. Pet the duck. You will then have 20 seconds where it will follow you. Quickly grab another one in your arms and sprint towards your farm. When you think your 20 seconds is about up, or you see the duck stop following you on the map, stop, turn around, drop the duck you're holding, pet one of them, grab the other one, and repeat this process until you get back to the farm. It usually takes about 2 or 3 times of petting them. The goat and the millstone. It's kind of a complicated quest. They're intertwined with each other. but this is how it progresses. The goat is located southwest of the merchant. It will be across a bridge. It's one of the 2 bridges that you can fix without having nails. So you fix the bridge, you go across it, and then you will see these white rocks projecting from the ground, and there will be a swarm of bees around it. And I think it took finding the bees and finding that goat area for there to be a story quest to come about. Because you tell one of your grandparents that you can't get the goat out. You sometimes have to wait for a dream in order to progress quests, and this is one of them. After you eventually dream about this, Grandpa will give you a pickaxe so you can break down the rocks and get the goat, and I also believe you have to get the bees that are there as well. Once you get that pickaxe, you will be able to mine the stones to get the goat out, but then you can also use that stone to craft a millstone to get your mill working. I have not yet figured out how to grind grain in that mill, but you can get it working again. As far as getting the goat back home, you do that the same as with all the other animals. You have to pet him, sprint, pet him, sprint, rinse and repeat until you get him back to your farm. Irrigation parts and making money, those go hand in hand, and the irrigation quest was quite tough and a bit annoying to me. This is how it progressed. There is a motor that you're going to need to buy. There might be one somewhere, but I never found it. The merchant wants over 150,000 for this motor at first, which is insane. Eventually, you will get out of him that if you find some special butterflies and complete his quest, he will lower his prices. He lowers it down to 15,600, which still seems like a lot, and it is, but it is doable. So how do you make money for that? Well, my favorite ways were, number 1, you can sell chickens. Eventually, you can sell sheep as well. Those will be worth a lot. Also, making scrambled eggs. Those are worth a decent amount. It's kind of a pain to make, I realize. And then fruit. My favorite is the fruit bushes. Anytime I come across a fruit bush in the wild, I dig it up with my shovel and I take it back and I plant it in my orchard. The reason being, to harvest the fruit from the bushes, all you have to do is just walk by them. Once you get the basket, Grandma will give you a basket to store your produce. You just walk by them. You make 2 passes, you can get through 4 rows of the fruit bushes, and you have quite a bit of fruit. Now you can also kick your fruit trees, but that uses a lot of stamina. And you keep doing this and you'll make a decent amount of money. And remember, however much you collect in a day, when you go to your grandpa the next day, he will give you a corresponding amount of free stuff, so to speak, whatever he gives you every day. Now, to find the water pump for your irrigation system, you'll have to wait until you get the goat out and you have the pickaxe. And you can use your pickaxe and break the stones that were behind the goat's area. That will open up a new area. You can explore it. There might be an alpaca there, but that's beside the point for this quest. You will also find an old building there, and there will be a free water pump just hanging out in there. Grab that water pump. So when you have enough money for your motor, you can buy that from the merchant. You can find the water pump in that old building behind where the goat area was. You should already have some electric cable and garden hose that was already on the farm. And then all you have to do is buy the sprinkler, and I don't remember how much that was, but it wasn't very expensive. Once you have all those parts, go back to your farm, take your water pump out of your inventory, put it right by your pond, and from there, you're going to get the electric cable, connect it to the pump, and then take it up to the little pump house that looks kind of like a little windmill, the one that's right by your house. Connect it to that. And if the cable turns, I think it's red, that means you don't have enough cable. Then you are going to put the sprinkler in your garden, wherever you want it. Start it by connecting it to the pump, same place where you connected the electric cable, and then connect that all the way up to your sprinkler. Again, if you don't have enough hose, it will change colors and it won't let you connect it. So if you're having trouble connecting anything, it means you don't have enough cable or garden hose, and you can go buy more of that. And that will finally complete your irrigation system. By the time you get it done, the drought might be over, but at least you know how to do it, and I think you can run additional sprinklers as well. The geese, they look kind of like seagulls, and they are super annoying, and I haven't found a really good way to combat them. Supposedly you can use your wooden sword. And I try this, but the geese always bite me and injure me, and that takes away your stamina, and you have to use a bandage. But anytime you see the geese, you'll hear them, you'll see them, they are usually guarding one of those rocks with the X on it. And sometimes if there's only one goose there, you can take your wooden sword out and you can get a hit in, and while the goose is all dazed and has stars around its head, you can quickly take your shovel out and dig by the rock and get, it's usually a recipe or something that you can buy from the merchant. But more often than not, you will be injured by the goose, and you're just going to have to wait until the stars stop flying around your head, get your shovel out as fast as you can, get the recipe, and then get out of there, and then put on your bandage. They're really annoying. I wish I had a shotgun. You will first fish when Grandpa gives you a challenge to compete with him in a fishing contest in order to get some nails to fix a bridge to get the alpaca. So once you're at the alpaca quest time, that's kind of when you will first use the fishing pole, and then you will get a fishing pole, and he'll also give you 4 nails to fix that bridge to the alpaca in the mountains. You can then fish in any body of water where you see fish. You can fish in your pond, you can fish in the streams in the lake, and it's really fun. The key is make sure you see a fish there before you toss your line in. Toss the line near the fish, and then when the arrow indicator pops up, like there's a fish on the line, don't press any buttons. You just need to keep the indicator line on the bobber in the green. As long as you do that, it will automatically reel in the fish. It shows you some other options for pulling the reel out. Don't do that unless you want to recast. It will automatically come up if you keep that indicator in the green. Frogs are kind of tough, but there will be a time when you have a quest to catch them. This is the way I do it, and it doesn't always work. It really depends on where the frog is and how far you are from it. But keep your stamina up. When you get close to the frog, sprint at it and spam whatever button is for your catch. It's A on controller. And if you do it just right, your character gets locked into an animation, kind of like when you're catching a mouse, and you will be able to catch the frog. For the final quest, and this is my favorite, you get to build a treehouse. This comes about after you dream about wildfire, and Grandpa wants you to have a way to spot these dangers on the farm, being up high, and that is when you get to build the treehouse. You get to pick from one of 3 big trees that are around the farm. I picked one that was kind of near the animals and one that I could get to easily, because you're going to want to get to this frequently. Gather a lot of wood. I know it's quite the grind to get all that wood, but it's worth it. You will get your treehouse, and then you get to unlock things to decorate your treehouse with. You'll get a bed. Supposedly you could sleep in there. I have not figured out how to do that yet. And then Grandpa will give you several aquariums that you put in there, and then you have to fill them with fish. Grandma will give you a terrarium. You can have frogs in there. You can have beetles. It's really cool. There's wall decorations. There's a window. You have a telescope. And then it automatically alerts you when there's a wild animal on the farm. This scared me at first. I thought, oh no, there's a wolf here. But I think when deer are around the farm, that triggers that alert. I love the idea of having a treehouse, and I'm eager to see if there's anything else that I get to unlock or do with it. Well, that is going to do it for the guide. I hope you have found this helpful. If you did, please do me a favor, drop a like, consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't. If you have any other questions about the beginning of Everdream Valley, maybe some things I did not include in this guide, drop them in the comments below and I will do my best to help answer you. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time.